From Kokomemle, this is JoyNews Room with me, Sweetie Abochi. In the next 60 minutes, Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa, is raising alarm over the devastating state of Ghana's forest reserves, revealing that 44 out of the country's 288 forest reserves have been completely destroyed. And Ghana National Fire Service has confirmed the complete dousing of the devastating fire that raged for 2 days at Edum, while traders have been asked to evacuate. And Energy Minister sets 5-year targets to cut household carbon emissions by 50%. These plus other stories in this our bulletin. You want to stay with me for details. I'm Sweetie Abochi. Let's get into the details now. Starting with the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources is raising alarm over the devastating state of Ghana's forest reserves, revealing that 44 out of the country's 288 forest reserves have been completely destroyed. It disclosed that a recent assessment categorized some forests as critically endangered using a color-coded system where 9 reserves were marked in red and yellow, signaling severe degradation. However, speaking on Newsfile, the minister is hopeful that the Tree for Life initiative, coupled with other collaborations, will yield positive results.
Company is shutting down water because you have crisis. When the Forestry Commission says that out of your 288 forests, 44 is completely destroyed, and that they have colors. 9 of the forests had red, yellow, and then blue. You know that this is a fight you must win. So that is critical. The other thing is engagement and education of the people of Ghana. If you have seen me in the last, that's the second part. Since I took office, my focus has been engaging the people of Ghana. I've been in parliament, I've been with traditional leaders, I've been with the media, I've been talking to the youth groups, because this fight is not for the Minister of Lands or for the government, it's for the people of Ghana, it's for traditional authorities at all levels, for us to accept that there are things that will be no go area. There are things we can do, but there are things we must collectively say, this we can do. Not our water, not our forests reserve, that gives us life.
That's the third pillar. You're left with 2 more.
Now we have alternative livelihood. If you see us focusing on things like Tree for Life initiative, and we've talked about a lot of programs we are going to do in that area. If you see us talking about all the other things, working with the other agencies, you will see my collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture. It's all about alternative livelihood and things we can do to empower the youth. The other thing has to be a strong focus on reclamation and revegetation of all these damaged lands. So these are the focus areas of our fight. I talk about the reforms. You know, one of the things we've done immediately I took office was to make sure that we scan the system. You see me set up committees to look at the system. Because what we are talking about is also important. This mining sector is a very important sector. This is a sector that is the small-scale mining sector. It's what has given the government of Ghana over $4.5 billion. It's holding this economy. And so you need to understand that it's a very important sector. How do we sanitize it to make sure that people who are doing the right thing are giving the support?
So people are interested in knowing what differently you are going to do, because reforming licensing regime, strengthening law enforcement, engagement and education, alternative livelihood, strong focus on reclamation and revegetation, they are not new.
Yeah, well, but there's a lot of difference. You know the difference? The difference this time is leadership. The difference this time is to tell the military. You know, the last time the military went to the forest reserve was 2022.
Now, let's get some more details on this. Joining me via Zoom is Dr. Ferdinand Tonye. He's a research fellow, United Nations University, INRA. And Doc, thank you so much for joining the conversation. Some would argue that these are the minister's own assertions and that our forest cover is not depleted as much. But we know that you've been doing some research. What have you been finding in this area?
Good afternoon to all your listeners. I'm happy to be on. What I want to say is that I'm not going to attempt to be using figures in terms of the depletion as the minister mentioned, but it is very clear. It is common sense. We have been witnessing this. When you even drive on our roads, when you even go to our forests, you see it. The news broadcast it every now and then. Forests are being depleted. You can't ignore this. You can't say this is not true. It is true. Forests are being depleted. For example, we have been working in some forests in the Ochi mine area, and day in day out, you see how people continue to lose their farm, how people are struggling to even go to their farm. A farm that they would have used like 1 hour to get to farm, now they have to use more hours because there are pits on their farmways that they can't even access their farm. So it have a lot of implications. I won't attempt to be going
Right.
into the
And
figures.
Doc, what
but it
are
is
the
tricky.
imminent dangers that are being posed to communities prone to illegal mining then? The imminent dangers.
There are a lot of dangers that these communities face. I can tell for a fact that we know that this is affecting our food production. It is also affecting health in terms of some mining related diseases. It is also affecting even some natural non-timber forest goods that we get from the forest. For example, people are kind of scared now. If you want contomere or even mushroom from the forest you commonly would have gone to, this is being affected because you can't be sure if these forests have not been receiving some mercury polluted water that will be danger to your health. So
Right.
it's quite serious.
And
It's quite
Doc,
serious.
I also know that you're running some intervention programs at United Nations University in Ra within the Achim communities, like you just mentioned. That place has also been impacted by this forest degradation. In what ways are you working with a team or your group to stop the menace? What are you doing exactly?
Thank you very much. I think forests, to be able to curb deforestation, one of the big aspects of it is in terms of governance. So nationally, the government is doing its part to make sure that governance of forests is working. One thing I want to say, which we are doing, we have adopted something government is already doing back with law, which we call CREMA, Community Resource Management Area. It is backed by Ghana government law that gives power to the local communities, the chiefs, to be able to own their forests and be able to protect them. So you don't wait for the Forestry Commission or even wait for EPA to come when there's someone destroying the forest. There's a
Right.
local governance system that is in place. Everybody is like a vigilante. I think apart from all the initiative government is doing, we need to look at that model very well. It is
Doc,
a very sure
right.
model that will be able to help us to stop this whole menace.
Doc, lastly, before you go, we understand the deployment of the Blue Water Guards will soon begin. Is that an initiative that meets us at the point of our needs?
Yes, I think it is one of the initiatives, but not all in totality. That is to be able to, if I understand very well that mission, it is more to give alarm and also report to the authorities. But as I mentioned, we need to empower the local community to own their resources and understand why they need to keep it for the common good and also for their own community. So I would say, apart from that initiative, it is a good initiative, it's one of them, but let us be able to empower and let the laws work. Let the laws work. So,
Right.
and also empower the local community. Let the chief come back to help us solve these issues than only thinking that the various agencies and the ministries are able to do this. So
Thank you
let's
so
look at
much.
the CREMA model very well.
Right. That is Dr. Ferdinand Tonye, Research Fellow, United Nations University in Ra. Thank you for helping us put this in perspective. Now, moving on, the Ghana National Fire Service has confirmed the complete dousing of that devastating fire that raged for 2 days at the Blue Light Arena in Edum, Kumasi. The Friday dawn inferno, which left over 5,000 traders and shop owners reeling from its impact, was finally brought under control through what the Ghana National Fire Service describes as, quote, the relentless efforts, unquote, of its fighters. In a statement released on Sunday, The Ghana National Fire Service praised the Ashanti Regional Fire Command and management for their heroic work, confirming that the Blue Light Arena is now rid of any fire. However, some of the affected traders have criticized the fire service, alleging that a lack of water exacerbated the destruction, and they claim the response to the fire incident was inadequate, which they believe facilitated the fire getting out of control. Meanwhile, the Ghana National Fire Service has responded to the claims, attributing the delays to the congested layout of the arena. Let's get on Zoom now and speak to my colleague Clinton Yeboah for more. Clinton, thanks for joining us. Now, what is the latest update from this fire?
Sweetie, if you can hear me.
Loud and clear, Clinton.
JoyNews can confirm that the fire has been completely extinguished. And this was also contained in a statement that was released by the Ghana National Fire Service. Our checks this morning confirmed this assertion when we went on grounds and spoke to traders. What currently is at the scene, buildings and containers that have been reduced to rubble and scraps. And some traders are trying to find their way into their own building to salvage some of the items that they think were not affected by the fire. So what they are trying to do is to save some of these items to safety. But then also there has been discussions around the possible reconstruction of the area, which I believe has brought some contention among traders, as they claim that authorities are trying to take the land from them, which they do not believe is the proper way to go.
Right. And in terms of next plan of action, what are you hearing from the authorities?
Well, when we were on grounds, we saw the NADMO personnel around. We also saw KMA personnel around, and Ofori Ajiman, who represented the regional minister then, spoke about creating a path or making markets accessible in Kumasi using what happened in Edum as a case study. So when you go to Blue Light, we have the left side and the right side where traders are trading. It's the left side that have been affected by the fire. But on the right side, the plan is to create a pathway, a lorry pathway, to make the place more accessible to cars and to trucks, so that in times of emergency, it will be accessible to the fire service, which the fire service have already been complaining about solving the fire issue at the.
Clinton Yeboah, thank you so much for bringing us up to speed on that. And meanwhile, traders and shop owners around the Blue Light Arena at Edum Kumasi have been asked to evacuate to make way for the construction of a lorry pathway following Friday's devastating fire. And on Monday, officers will begin a demolition exercise in the area after the expiration of the 2-day ultimatum. There's a report by Clinton Yeboah.
It's rather unfortunate scene to see here at Blue Light Arena in Edum, where after over 24 hours of devastating fire, you can visibly see smoke and fire coming from some of the remaining containers and shops. This is an indication that the fire has not been completely extinguished, and in a recovery effort, you can see that an excavator has made its way into the arena where shops and containers have been reduced to scraps and debris. What the excavator is doing currently is to break into some of the remaining shops perceived to have had less impact from the fire, to make way for the fire service personnel to be able to throw in water and quench the fire completely. The congestion of the area facilitated the spread of the fire to other areas, even a day after the fire started. Regional Fire Commander Assistant Chief Officer 2, Peter Tete, is admonishing city authorities to create access to public areas and for traders to adhere to safety tips.
My message, the public to listen to us. Our tidbits, safety tidbits, they should listen, adhere to them, do them. The city authorities must make sure they create access. There should be accessibility so that when it happens, we can get access to deal with it. Yes, that is my message. Yes.
In efforts to mitigate fire incidents, authorities have outlined plans to restructure the setup of markets in Kumasi, allowing for accessible roads. Ajiman Buedi, also known as Kenzuba, representing the Ashanti Regional Minister, disclosed this intervention in response to accessibility issues faced by the fire service.
So it is the instruction of the Regional Minister that we must engage them so that between now and Monday, they will find somewhere. It is not all of them that are going to be affected, but we'll create a channel, a path, where vehicles can move through to assist whoever will be affected or need any emergency service. So the NADMO team has gone there. We are going to engage all of them, and Monday we'll send equipment to the place to go and create a path. They are all located at unauthorized places. We don't have a place for them as at now to go. What took place here, if we had had such a path, we would not have had this level of destruction.
Meanwhile, victims of the fire are seen trying to salvage remains of their burnt items, with anxious traders who fear the fire might reach their shops, moving their items to safety. So far, over 5,000 traders and shop owners have been affected. The distraught shop owners and traders are mourning the loss of their livelihoods. The National Disaster Management Organization says they are prepared to provide assistance and relief to the affected. Deputy Director General of NADMO, Ahmed Rahim, says appropriate support will be provided to the affected victims.
NADMO, you could see that since morning our men are on grounds picking data, taking data of all the traders in the markets here. We are taking all those data so that when the whole place is cleared, road has been demarcated so that people don't encroach to the road to have easy access to the markets. Everybody will be allocated his or her place based on the list that we have. So for NADMO, we are ready. We are already on grounds.
This once vibrant trading area called Blue Light Arena in Edum has now become a landscape of ashes, and has raised concerns and discussions over fire safety, improvement in infrastructure, and even settlement planning. JoyNews will be on grounds to pick up any updates as and when it falls. For JoyNews, my name is Clinton Yabwa, Kumasi.
Moving on, Minister for Energy and Green Transition, John Jinapor, has set a 5-year target to cut household carbon emissions by 50%. Currently, more than half of households in Ghana depend on charcoal for cooking, contributing to carbon emissions. Speaking at the Clean Cooking Agenda workshop in Accra, John Jinapor said this is part of government agenda to transition the country to green energy. Let's take a look at this report that has more details.
Successive government agencies and partners have over the years tried implementing measures to promote clean cooking by eliminating the use of firewood and charcoal. The problem, however, is that there's no clear national policy to streamline these actions. Raising the Energy and Green Transition Ministry, supported by the World Bank, has begun a threefold stakeholder engagement in the coastal, middle and northern belt to formulate a national clean cooking policy. Speaking at the launch of the framework workshop in Accra, Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the National Petroleum Authority in charge of technical, Dr. Sheila Addo, revealed some worrying statistics about the implication of the use of firewood and charcoal, including death.
And this lack of access to clean cooking fuels, as we all know, has brought us a lot of challenges, including respiratory health challenges as well as environmental challenges. The IEA estimates that this figure at 3.7 million annually, with women and children most at risk, people who are usually exposed to health challenges. In Ghana, it is projected that unclean cooking methods claim about 17,000 lives annually, including 2,000 children.
The sector minister, John Jinapor, explains why several households have rather migrated from LPG use to charcoal and firewood, and government's grand agenda to resolve the challenge.
Between 2021 and 2022, because LPG prices increased by over 80%, the consumption of LPG declined by about 12%. And then the consumption of wood fuels also increased astronomically. And so it's not just an economic burden, it's also a health issue, is also an environmental issue. I know that the MPA is working aggressively to expand the cylinder recirculation model. And I think that is something that all of us must support. It's our vision that by 2030, 50% of the population would use clean cooking, particularly LPG.
But what is the long-term plan, especially when fuel prices continue to rise marginally?
I'm aware that Ghana Gas supplies about 30% of our LPG consumption. Cabinet has approved the construction of a second gas processing plant to process indigenous gas. And we hope that when we complete that gas processing plant, it will elevate domestic consumption to about 70 to 80%. And ultimately, we should be able to hit 100% when it comes to domestic gas consumption.
The ministry's aim is to, by end of this stakeholder engagement, fashion a clean cooking policy to aid Ghana's green transition agenda. James Savage, Joy News.
Bono Regional Minister Joseph Adai Akwabwa has charged chieftaincy litigants to use the courts or judicial committee of the Regional House of Chiefs to resolve chieftaincy cases. Addressing the Bono House of Chief, the minister, however, assured that he would use all the authority vested in him to deal with anyone who uses violence to resolve chieftaincy conflict in any part of the region. A situation, he said, has affected the region's progress. Precious Semevo has more.
Addressing the maiden 2025 general meeting of the Bono Regional House of Chiefs with the regional minister in attendance, the president of the house, Osajifo Oseadio Bedu II, assured the minister of utmost cooperation from the house in the discharge of his duties. The Domahini lamented the lack of development in the region, especially roads connecting Brekum, Sampa and Wenchi. He, however, applauded the minister for his stand on illegal mining in the region. The chiefs are grateful to you for your stand against Galamsey in the region. That has been our position too, because what becomes of us with the mercury, cyanide and others damaging our lands? Everybody must be stopped, including me, if I am involved in Galamsey. Regional Minister Joseph Adai Akwabwa, accompanied by top party officials, assured the chiefs the narrative of youth unemployment would change before the end of President Mohammed's term. He assured of measures to fix the abandoned and deplorable roads in the region to drive development. I have a promise from Accra that from Une to Poli Runabout, Alaska to New Doma and beyond will be done before President Mahama ends his term. If we fix the Sampa to Wenchi Road, it will open the region to jobs due to the cashew in those areas. And very soon, the contractors will be on site. The region has many chieftaincy issues, and the minister warned that there would be consequences for any act against the law. Chiefs are mandated to handle chieftaincy cases, so such litigations should go through the judicial committee or the courts. But as RECSEC chairman, I will use my authority during my tenure to deal with anyone per law who, through chieftaincy conflict, fights and kills people, because we need peace in the Bono region to work. The minister was installed as a member of the Bono Regional House of Chiefs with the name Nana Kojo Akwabwa the 20th. Precious Semevo, Joy News, Sunyai.
Moving on, General Secretary of the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union Ghana, Morgan Ayaweni, has hailed government's idea of a 24-hour economy as an intervention in unemployment and economic growth. Speaking at a delegate conference in Sunyani, Mr. Ayawene called for further explanations and commitment to the policy without partisan coloration in the interest of job creation for the youth. Precious Semevo again.
The Brong-Ahafo Regional Quadrennial Delegates Conference in Sunyani of the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union ICU Ghana served as a forum to take stock and plan the region's activities. The regional officer Nuruddin Mohammed reported membership growth of 67% from the 2021 figure of 1,239, even as they deepen steps to deal with challenges, including unnecessary contract termination and summary dismissal of workers. The conference elected new regional executives with Seth Kofi Ofori as chairman for a 4-year term. He assured of cohesion among employees and employers.
It's about win-win affair. The current state is like the employees want to what? Mount pressure on employers to demand what is not there. And the employer also see differently. So we have to bring the two together. That once you take good care of your employee, it will yield the results for higher profitability, corporate image, and all those things. And when there is that cohesion, by all means, profitability will shoot up, and all of us will benefit.
The General Secretary of ICU Ghana, Morgan Ayawene, expressed worry about the unemployment level in Ghana, but commended the government for realigning the Labour Ministry.
We believe that to reorganize the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations and give it a new outlook in the form of employment, jobs, and labour relations, that alone depicts a clear commitment of the President and his government to formulate a tailor-made policy to deal with the jobs situation in our country.
The Labour Union hailed the 24-hour economy idea, but advocated for further explanations devoid of politics.
We very much hail the idea, but we still think that there's much work to do in terms of explaining and expatiating and defining the 24-hour economy so that everybody can embrace it. If it looks good, we don't think that it should be given a partisan, face. We should all embrace it. We have kept too long in coming out with a national development plan. And it is because of that, situation that is lacking in our country. That is why the unemployment situation is getting worse. But supposing we have a national policy dealing with jobs and dealing with unemployment situation, we would have gotten somewhere by now. So the initiative of government looks good, but the implementation and the commitment is what we need to look at.
Precious Semevo, JoyNews, Sunyani.
Let's take a quick break. When we return, more news stories for you. Live from Kokomemle, you're still watching JoyNews Room with me, Sweetie Abochi. Let's move on with the rest of the stories for this bulletin. And the youth in Sunyani City now have a safe space known as the Adolescent Clinic and Digital Hub to discuss issues on sexual and reproductive health with experts. According to Raphael Godlove Ahanu, CEO of Global Media Foundation, the project, funded by Foundation Botna, is also equipped to offer digital skills to build the capacity of the youth. Precious Semevo tells us more.
Over the years, young people in cities, especially secondary cities, have struggled with safe spaces to discuss issues affecting them. They are also excluded from decision-making at the city level. To help change the narrative, Global Media Foundation is implementing the Adolescent Clinic and Digital Hub under the Resilient City for Adolescent project to provide counseling and mentorship, among others, for young people between 13 and 21 years within Sunyani City in the Bono region. Chief Executive of Glometh, Raphael Godlove Ahenu, speaking at the opening of the clinic, said that together with Foundation Botna and partners, including Sunyani Municipal Assembly and Ghana Health and Education Services, the project also has a digital skills center to avoid stigmatization.
A lot of young people within Sunyani and Ghana as a whole will have a challenge when it comes to discussing some of their personal issues, especially relating to sexual and reproductive health, depressed, and other things. So the purpose of the center is that it will serve as a space where young people can come, meet with psychologists, nurses, doctors to discuss issues affecting them. In order not to stigmatize the place, we have attached the digital hub to it. So what it means is that the young people who take opportunity to be here, to be trained in the digital space, will also have the access to all these services.
He said the project would also empower the youth with livelihood skills.
If you look at the scope of the project, we have trained more than 40 young people in the digital space in the collaboration with the Kofi Annan India ICT Center of Excellence. We are also training 15 adolescents in fashion and designing, training more than 30 of them in hairdressing, makeups, bakery, and soap making. All these, we are doing them to ensure that we build the business skills of the young people so that they will not only depend on government for job after school.
A beneficiary shares his thoughts on the project for the youth in Sunyani City.
I think as I'm grooming for the future and hoping for the best, getting knowledge in ICT, since the world is full of digitals and everything, I think I've acquired much knowledge to impact my generation. This is a big opportunity for adolescents in Sunyani to also come together, contribute and learn something which also impact their future.
Precious Semevo, JoyNews, Sunyani.
Authorities at the Evangelical Presbyterian College of Education in Amajopa in the whole West District of the Volta region are asking government to help to deal with infrastructural deficits in the college. Principal Dr. Dixon Che says the school has inadequate lecture halls, staff and student accommodation, and an administration block impeding smooth academic work, and is appealing for support to provide enough infrastructure to create an enabling environment for academic activities.
The EP College of Education, established in 1946 in Amajope, largely relies on foundation structures constructed in the colonial era, as it has seen very little development. The only project expected to augment accommodation on the campus had stalled at the foundation level due to a lack of funding from GET Fund. The 4-story female hostel structure has turned into a death trap as the stills used for the footing are exposed. The principal, Dr. Dixon Che, called for an urgent intervention.
It will interest you to note that this assembly hall was designed to accommodate only 200 people. But here we are, with over 350 people squeezing into it, causing so much discomfort. Furthermore, we must urgently address the issue of our deteriorating road network, which makes access to the college challenging for many. We also recognize the pressing need for more male hostels to provide safe and comfortable accommodation for our students. Along with this, there is the need to develop more accommodation for our dedicated staff and additional office space for our hard-working lecturers and administrative personnel.
The Member of Parliament for Afram Plains, Wolasi Kpeli, who is an alumnus, promised to lobby the appropriate quarters to address the infrastructure deficit.
So I will liaise with my counterpart, which is the MP for this constituency, Honorable Bejira, my senior brother. We will do well to hand. It is the only training college in this whole constituency. And therefore, we have to make it better. I will chase up every project that is stored in this college and make sure, with God's help, I bring back the glory of Ameko.
A total of 315 students were matriculated for the 2024-2025 academic year. Fred Kwame Asari, JoyNews. Amejope.
Senior dentist at Midway Hospital, Dr. Sena Kwabla Anyigba, has expressed concern over the delayed reporting of dental issues by many Ghanaians, noting that this is contributing to a rise in dental diseases. He urged the public to regularly replace their toothbrushes to maintain proper oral hygiene. Dr. Anyigba shared these insights with JoyNews following his visits to Immaculate Heart RC Basic School as part of this year's Oral Day celebrations.
Should I say alarming? I mean, ideally we should be, constantly seeing our dentist twice a year, but the turnout is very, very low. We don't have a lot of people generally coming to the dentist because they just want to see how their teeth are doing. For the most part, the people that come are because there's a problem, there's pain, there's one thing or the other, and that's disturbing their daily activity. That's why they come, but not for a routine check, as should be the case. Yeah. Yes, at the moment it's worrying because I believe everyone should be interested in their oral health, how their mouth is, how the teeth and everything else in there is functioning. Everyone should be interested in their oral health as a whole, yeah. Yes, a lot of people, yes, sometimes you do have people coming in with dental phobia because maybe when they were kids, they were threatened with going to the dentist as punishment. Some too, they generally do not come to the dentist because they assume that once you come to a dentist, you are going to lose a tooth, you are going to take out a number of teeth. But no, generally we do not like to take out teeth. Taking out teeth is our last resort. It's usually what we do when all else has failed. Okay, so we want to rather encourage more routine visits, more checkup to the dentist, so that we don't have things like that happening. Again, people also have this this conception, a conception that dentists are expensive. The thing is, the more you come to, the more frequent your visits to the dentist are, the more minimal the cost is. The longer you wait, the more the cost builds up and then becomes expensive at a go.
Let's take a quick break. When we return, we have business news. In business, a former chief executive of Anglo Gold Ashanti, Sir Sam Jonah, has maintained that to be successful in the current global space, a business leader must think long-term and act short-term. Addressing students, persons from the academia and leaders from the business community, Sir Sam Jonah noted that most of these global giants have come this far because they adopted this strategy, which often fast-tracks their expansion and growth. Sir Sam Jonah was speaking at the Gold Coast University Leadership Conversation in Accra.
Leaders must also be courageous enough to make tough decisions that align with their values, even when they are unpopular. So how do we tie global leadership and corporate governance to sustainable growth? I'll give you 3 strategies that I have found quite effective. The first one is think long-term and act short-term. It is easier to get caught up in quarterly results, but sustainable growth requires a sustainable long-term perspective. For example, when I led a company through a major digital transformation, we invested in technologies that didn't pay off immediately, but let me say it positioned us for future success. My experience with chairing or being on boards of public companies, that is where you are required to think long-term to please all stakeholders, that's host governments, communities, and shareholders. And yet, you have to show impressive results quarter by quarter to keep your shareholders happy. It is that which kept our team and I very much on our toes and instilled in us a certain discipline that's harder to come by generally in the private sector. Still, let me confess, certain private companies have the discipline to seamlessly think long-term while acting short-term. Huawei, the Chinese giant, is a good example.
Still in business, the KNUST School of Business is celebrating its 20th anniversary, marking 2 decades of shaping future business leaders. At the launch event, the school emphasized the importance of incorporating technology into business education to keep pace with a rapidly changing business environment. Key stakeholders, including alumni and industry leaders, gathered to commemorate the business school's achievements and discuss its plans for the future. Here's a report by Irabana Akwe.
Dean of the KNUST School of Business, Professor Ahmed Ejapon, has highlighted the fast-changing business environment and the need to ensure business students are not left behind. He says it has become imperative to incorporate technology in business education to efficiently prepare students for the world of work. He spoke on the theme Building Capacity and Resilience for Sustainable Development at the launch of the 20th anniversary celebration of the KNUST School of Business.
Technology is driving all businesses, and therefore there is a need for us to incorporate modern technologies into our curriculum. There is a need to incorporate AI into our programs. There is a need to establish skills training labs for the students. There is a need to build state-of-the-art.
Stay with me. There are more news stories after this short break. This is still JoyNews Room, and in a final bit today in Ghana Mount series, we want to take you on a journey to the eastern region, where a modest White House, known as the second in command in the Kwemu state, holds a remarkable piece of Ghana's political history. It's a story of royalty, leadership, and unexpected connection between 2 of Ghana's presidents, Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings and Nana Akufo-Addo. But don't take it from us. Kojo Yankson speaks to the curator of the Kwemu Museum, Nana Semeshia, who reveals the full story.
Can you see this white building behind me, this house, with a big flower pot in front of it? Now, I just learned the most mind-blowing piece of information about this house, which is only about 100 meters away from the Akwemu Hene's palace. I have just discovered the most fascinating bit of information. But don't take it from me. Let's get the curator of the Akwemu Museum to tell us why this house.
This house is very, very special because it's the second in command in Akwemu State. When the king is not there, that is the house that rules administratively, you know. So that house is very special. And you know what? Akufo-Addo is a royal in that house.
So that means the President Akufo-Addo is actually an Akwemu?
In the Kan system, we go seriously matrilineal. So Akufo-Addo, by all intents and purposes, is an Akwemu, a typical Akwemu.
So his mother is from this house?
Yes. The grandmother migrated from here to marry in Achim. So to Achim, he's a grandson to the stool. But here, he's a royal.
Okay, well, I mean, while I'm trying to get my head around that interesting piece of information, it turns out he's not the only person who has led this country who came from this house.
Oh, you want to know?
Yes.
Rawlings' mother is from the very house.
What?
Yes. The Agbuti, the Kublenus, the Heymans from Keita are all from this house. And today, that is their house. That's their royal house.
So Rawlings' mother is from here?
Yeah.
Akufo-Addo's grandmother is from here. That kind of makes Akufo-Addo Rawlings' nephew.
Yes.
You know, this house ought to be surrounded by tourists by now.
What a way to wrap the bulletin. I'm Sweetie Abochi. For more news, do log on to myjoyonline.com to keep you updated. Please stay and enjoy the rest of our shows this Sunday. Bye for now.